Welcome back to Veterans of the North, empowering all who served. I'm Trent Dilks. Back with me is Mike McKelney, and we are going to talk with Korean War veteran George Skip Ebenhoe. George Skip Ebenhoe. Skip, thank you for joining Mike and I here to have a conversation. We were talking a little bit before. George, we were talking a little bit about before the show, and you said you're drafted into the service. What's that? How's that story of service start for you?
Well, not really. It just I was at home working for my dad and playing in the Sleepy-Eye Drum and Bugle Corps, and waiting for the draft.
Yeah.
And it came along in '52, and I was sent to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, the artillery center, and learned all about artillery. And
what time of year did you get to go down to Fort Sill?
what time of the year?
Yeah. Do you remember? Was it? I got to do 2 summers in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, it's about.
I went down in the spring. Yeah.
Okay.
In
Yeah.
the spring.
About the worst place I think a person could be stuck in the summer is Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
It was warm. I know. There was days when I showered 3 times.
Yeah. Yep. And dry. And yeah.
A little dry over there.
Yeah.
So did you learn field artillery down there? That's the
Yeah,
home of the King of Battle?
Yeah. 105 howitzers.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We went through the complete training on those, and then we did a little bit with the 155.
But
Primarily it was the 105 howitzers.
a little bit easier to move around with
Oh,
those.
yeah.
I was a 155 howitzer guy. So,
Oh, you too, huh?
Yeah. I was a cannon crew member. I got trained up at Fort Sill, and a little bit of noise. I remember that.
Did you stay out on the south side, or were you in the barracks, or were you in the?
Yeah, I was in the barracks. It was a newer part they had just built. So.
Well, you're lucky. We stayed in tents.
Oh, yeah. No tents for us.
We had tents when I was there.
Yeah. So you remember the first time you got to pull the lanyard on one of those 105s or 155s? It's a little bit of a rush, right? And
Well, yeah. It was. I was kind of looking forward to it.
I remember, when the first time you'd fire, we'd have to use this big 50-yard lanyard.
Yeah, I know.
And we had a guy who was brand new. He'd never pulled a lanyard before. And you hand it to him and you tell him to run. And then until the cannon goes boom. And that's just in case it blows up. And this poor guy no one had told him to stop. So he runs. The cannon
running.
goes boom. And he goes running down the gun line.
Yeah, he's still running.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So you're learning field artillery in Fort Sill.
Yep. And then, in addition to that, we also went through survey, artillery survey, which got to be quite a thing because they taught us how to do survey and place guns and forward observers.
Yeah.
And the whole 9 yards. The outfit that I ended up in was 1st Field Artillery Observation Battalion, and they served in World War II also, and they were in Korea until '58.
Okay.
Before they finally came home. But that's the history of the outfit I was in, and what it was sound, flash, survey, and radar.
Okay.
We covered all 3 of them. Each one of the companies was one of the segments.
Okay. Did you end up sticking as a gun bunny, or what was
No, we didn't have much to do with artillery after that. We got into the surveying.
Yeah.
And we were placing guns, placing forward observers.
Okay.
So that when they did see a target, they could phone it in, and the guys running the guns could tell where to set their azimuth, and how much charge to use in order to hit the target that the FO was looking at.
Yeah, it gets pretty
in other
complicated.
Words, our motto was, we find them, you shoot them.
Yeah, it gets pretty complex. Every once in a while, you hear about somebody shooting it exactly backwards.
Oh, yeah.
They get about 1,800 degrees off their azimuth, and 1,800 mils off, which isn't too bad, just backwards.
Yeah, and of course I got over there, early, and They must have heard I was coming because they quit shooting in 53, the summer of 53.
Okay.
July 23rd.
Okay.
July 23rd, 1953, they signed the armistice
Yeah. Yep.
or whatever it was, yeah.
So right as you're getting over, right before you get over there,
Yeah, a little bit, not much.
yeah.
Not much. I lucked out.
Yeah. So do you spend your time doing emplacements then, or is that the
Well,
start
yeah,
of kind of
after that, why, they said, well, okay, when you guys are okay to go, and then the captain said, oh, wait a minute. He said, we just found out that you guys can't go home until you teach the Koreans your job.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I ended up teaching Korean. Of course, I had an interpreter there that knew more about it than I did. And I'd tell him something, and he'd talk for 15 minutes. And he knew quite a bit about it, more than I did. But the point being is, we had to teach them before we could go home.
So is that the start of the demilitarized zone, what we know as the DMZ today? Is
Yep.
Is it the 59th parallel? Is that
48.
48.
No, 38.
Somewhere in there.
38 parallel.
There's an 8 in there.
There's an 8.
I should know. I surveyed that sucker part of it when it got blown out and the markers were gone. We had to go back and put the markers back in.
Okay. So that's the start of the establishing of the DMZ.
Yeah.
The place that we all kind of know now today is still...
Yeah, it's still there today, and it's still the same line, and they keep looking at it. And I realize, it's called a demilitarized zone, so there's nothing going on either side of the line.
Yeah.
And if anybody encroaches, why, right away there's trouble,
Now, you didn't nudge any of those markers a couple feet over, did you?
No,
right on the line.
Right on the line, yeah. Yeah.
So you get to train in the Koreans on how to do your job.
Yep.
Excellent.
Oh yeah.
And the war's kind of, coming to an end there, 55, and you're coming home. I mean, the armistice was already in place. And what did you think when you got the news, time to pack up and head home?
Oh, I thought it was great. I mean, I was ready to go home because I had a girlfriend at home that I was engaged to, and I wanted to go home and get married.
Yeah.
And so I got home, and sure enough, within a few months, I got married.
Okay.
Went to work for my dad again, and the bad part was that 3 years later, he passed away.
Okay.
So I had to run the business for 35 years.
And that was building truck bodies, right? That's
Building truck bodies. You ever hear of Schwann's Ice Cream?
I've heard of them,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, my dad built Marv Schwann's first ice cream body
Oh, wow.
in 1953 when I was in Korea. 53.
Schwann's, does that start out in Marshall? Or
It's still in Marshall.
Yep, still in Marshall.
The ice cream company was sold to Korea, South Korea, and the home delivery business, which was trucking, well, you guys know what home delivery was. And as of the 9th of November, they're calling it off. Going to be no more.
Yeah, no more Schwann's trucks.
No
stopping
more
by.
Schwann's trucks.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. Have to go to the store for my frozen corn.
Yep, that's right. Well, that's what happened to our business. Years ago, there was a truck to haul everything home, to house, to milk and whatever. And all of a sudden, they quit all that and hauled it into the grocery store, and you had to go to the grocery store to get it. Well, of course, that kind of killed our business. So I built a few rescue trucks, too.
Okay.
And the reason I did that was because I just happened to be a fireman
Okay.
for 32 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
10 years as chief.
Okay.
And I built a few rescue trucks, too.
Yeah.
About, 7 or 8 of them.
A little firsthand knowledge in what they needed and how they should look, huh?
Well, what I did was I built the shell, and the installation and everything. And then I would let the medical people put in what they wanted,
Oh,
In other words, here it is. Here's the body. You put in the equipment.
Yeah.
That's the way we worked it.
oh, excellent.
But we built rescue trucks for Pocahontas, Iowa, New Ulm, Mankato, St. James, Mendota Heights. I don't know.
Yeah.
And a few more.
One of the things, Skip, we're always interested in is how veterans, their service, how that might have affected their their career into the future and what they did. Like, do you feel like anything you learned in the military, discipline, traits of any kind, might have helped you along with that business you came back to, make you more productive?
Oh, yeah. When I was in service, I was also in charge of, a squad or
okay, leadership skills, yeah.
And because of it, I could handle people. I could hire and fire and whatever.
Second nature.
But you learn to handle people.
Yeah.
Treat them fairly, and that's all part of business, I guess. But the fire department, as soon as I got home, in fact, before I got married, I joined the fire department.
Okay.
And, that may sound like kind of a dumb thing, but my dad was a fireman.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was a fireman. My cousin was a fireman. My uncle, way back when, he was a fireman. So they were all firemen, but I was the only one that made chief.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed that part of it because I like to be the boss, I guess. After being in business 35 years, you get kind of used to being the boss. John, my son John, he's laughing because I was his boss. No, but you learn, know, and being in the fire department, of course, there you got 30. We had 33 men in 6 units or 5 units, and so you had to know your stuff, and you had to know how to handle people, and how to train people. The fire department today, if they aren't trained, they aren't firemen.
Yeah.
And the problem is today is that they are doing a lot more and a lot better training than they used to. When I joined the fire department, they said, "Here's the hose." There's the fire, here's the hose.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now they take a couple 100 hours of training.
Yeah.
And that's great. That's a good thing. That's because firemen aren't getting hurt, and they're saving more people. And, of course, the equipment is so much more advanced than it was. Air packs. What's an air pack? I don't know how many years, 20 years before I even saw an air pack,
Yeah.
But anyhow, that's part of the fire department end of it.
Yeah.
And, of course, then, in the meantime, on weekends, just for the hell of it, I used to sing in a church choir, too.
You had to keep busy.
I did that for 35 years. I liked singing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyhow, and I forgot to tell you that the important thing about my wedding, getting married, I married a farm girl west of town, and we were high school sweethearts. And you know what? We had 5 wonderful children.
5 kids.
5 kids. And they all turned out today to be unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't. I must have done something right, or the mother must have done something right, because they sure turned out good.
Yeah.
They did. They turned out just excellent.
Wonderful.
Yeah, in fact, there's doctorates in the family, music, pharmacy, that kind of thing,
Oh, good, good.
Excellent.
Yeah. I have a granddaughter that's a doctor in pharmacy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
very proud.
Yeah, and then we have a music, and he's teaching at Rapid City now, I guess.
Okay. Excellent.
So I was going to ask you both because artillery, I remember when I enlisted in the military, they asked me, they said, "Do you want to be a fireman?" And I thought, the recruiter's talking about putting out fires. So I was just curious with your fireman history if
yeah, right.
if they got you there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, I remember how they got me. They said, "Do you want to blow stuff up?" I was 17, and I thought, yes, I do. What they failed to mention was I would never get to see it actually land. I would be miles in the back when the actual round. So that was the first lie the recruiter told me. There were several more along the way.
But didn't they take you out on the range? And they said, "Now, here's the weapon. There's the target."
Yep. Yeah, I did.
They made you set it up, what azimuth and what charge you're firing and the whole 9 yards?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. Yeah, no, I just got to do that. I never got to see them land. I did.
Oh,
go
you
out,
didn't?
I went out to the impact field once.
Oh.
and so I did get to see it once in my career. But
Well, I was lucky. I could see the car sitting just over the hill,
yeah,
and I hit it.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, we had we had the 155s. And so
you had the biggies.
Yeah, a little further out there.
Yeah, that was a semi-fixed ammo. You had the shell
Yeah.
and the powder,
And-
where the 105 was the fixed ammo.
And as long as the same forward observer called for the adjustments, we knew we didn't miss too bad. You know?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, right. FO, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, when the FO called it in, and then it went back to Fire Direction Center.
Yep.
And then the Fire Direction Center told the gunner where to do it and what to do and how much charge and so forth and so forth. And then
Yeah.
what do you want? You want a round or you want a battalion? You know?
Yeah.
Or a battery. There's six guns in a battery.
Yep. Yeah. That's still the same.
You remember that too, huh?
Oh, I had to learn mortars, and so the whiz wheel, I think, which is smaller than artillery, but all the same concepts and principles.
Oh, okay.
I think that's when I had to get glasses, trying to look at the little pencil marks in the
Yeah.
dark rooms. You're like,
Yeah.
I got in just early enough where I still had to level bubbles. So eventually it went to a computer screen, and it was a lot less fun.
Yeah.
But when I was in there, when I started out, you had to level the bubbles, set the quadrant and everything to what they wanted.
The cannoneer part of it for me was fun.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
we had the surveying part of it. That was work.
Yeah. Yep.
That
I
was
know.
work.
It was great. There was the forward observer. There were the
Yeah.
nerds back in a tent somewhere that did all the math.
Yeah, yeah,
And all
they're-
I had to do was put a heavy
Yeah.
round in. It was 97-pound round, a bunch of powder,
Yeah.
and then pull string, make go boom.
Okay, you're firing a 155.
Yep.
So one of the things we like to ask when we get towards the end of each segment is really, with all your life experiences and wisdom now, what would you say to the younger veterans? I mean, as Trent mentioned before, what words of wisdom would you pass on to us?
Oh boy,
So hopefully we can,
That's a tough question.
Yeah. Yeah. As people are coming out now and veterans who are coming back home themselves, is there anything you'd pass along or advice or anything like that you'd want them to hear from you?
Well, I don't know. You just take life as it comes, I guess.
Yeah.
You first of all, you try to be nice to people. That's very, very important to get along with people. You don't want friends, you don't want enemies. You want friends.
Yeah.
And it's that way in anything, in business or in friendship, and you just can't live without friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Get those people around you.
Yeah, and I guess that's why, you take in organizations like the fire department, they're all friends. They're all friends. We all knew their families. They knew our families. It's a community thing. It's you're not a individual.
Yeah.
You're part of a community. You're part of a organization.
So in a way, you kind of found that carryover. You were a part of something when you were in the Army. You were a part of something in the fire department.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, keep that sense of belonging.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, Skip, I really appreciate you coming today and sharing your story with us. It ended up you had more to talk about than you thought, so that's always good, and we really appreciate you sharing with both our listeners.
Well, I appreciate the chance to talk with you people and tell you it's part of my story.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again.
And I do belong to the VFW, by the way, for 45 years.
Well, have you considered the DAV?
Good deal.
And I belonged to the Legion for 65 years.
How many years with the DAV?
47.
There we go.
Goodness.
Joined in 72 or 73.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate all that,
Yeah.
and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
And happy Veterans Day coming up.
Thank you, sir.